MGTOW and the butterfly effect. I've done a video on the butterfly effect before, and that's the effect where anything in life, any cause, any action, any word, any movement has an unlimited amount of other reactions because of that. So anything that happens has an unlimited number of reactions from that. So it's a constant ripple effect creating the butterfly effect. So a lot of people have a lot of problem with the butterfly effect, and they're uncomfortable about it when you talk about it, because it's very destabilizing to a lot of people to understand reality on that kind of a level. So I want to tie this into MGTOW because, say someone says, "Oh, I met my wife when we were 26, and we've been married for 40 years," and they have this huge story about like the moment they met and their happy marriage from that point on. With the butterfly effect, I'm 26 myself now. So say that guy's story, like he's telling you it, and he says, "Well, we met at this bar on this date of this year." Okay, so say as a man, that night before you leave to the bar, say you get a call from like a friend or from work or something, not even like from work to like go back in for a shift, but just like the boss wants to go over something with you for whatever reason. So you're on the phone with that with the boss, or maybe a friend calls you for whatever reason, or it's uh, like a family member calling, a commercial call, just like advertisement or something. It could just be anything. This is the butterfly effect. It's unlimited. Everything is always unlimited from that. So the boss calls you, and you're on the phone 5 extra minutes, and those 5 extra minutes from when you would have left the house to go meet your wife at that bar. So those 5 extra minutes caught, you're in the roads at a certain time where the traffic lights are red instead of green. So you left 5 minutes later from the house, and the traffic lights maybe they're switched in a way where it's an additional 5 minutes. So you get to the bar 10 minutes later, and then you and your wife never pass. You never meet because the timeline is 10 minutes off now. And so who's to say that I'm not at that bar at 26, or another guy, and say we don't just meet that girl at that time, right? Like what if me and like the husband looking back on it, what if we're like similar in a few ways, make similar money, similar kind of guy in terms of what she's attracted to. So who's to say that like I don't just meet her at that bar at 26? Who's to say that another guy doesn't meet her at that bar at 26? So just because you're this older man and it's like 40 years later, it's like he's like a 66-year-old man reflecting on his marriage. Like, "Oh, I met my wife. It's our 40-year anniversary. We met at 26, and she's the love of my life." It's like, yeah, but with the butterfly effect, like, like how much is she really your wife? Like how much is that your wife? How much of that is circumstance? Or if you want to get into like fate or predestination, or if you're religious or spiritual in a way, like, well, how does that tie in, and like who you were meant to meet, or like a certain relationship you were supposed to have. So there's a lot going on with that. So when it comes to MGTOW and the red pill community, when someone's saying like, "Oh, that's my girl," or "That's my wife," or "My wife would never do that," "My girl would never do that," there's just a lot of different timelines in like how things could have played out. So is that really your wife? Like, is it, or is it because of like certain things have to happen? It's kind of like, too, you being alive, your parents had to meet at a certain time. So say something's different in their timeline, now you don't exist, or like your dad goes to the bathroom instead of that night, like with your mom or whatever. So instead of that moment of it happening, he's like, "Oh, I gotta like pee real quick," and so so they have sex 5 minutes later, and so like it's a different like combination genetically. So it's just kind of like you don't even exist in the form that you exist in, and so it's deep with anything. It's like someone could be walking down the street right now, and I could say, "Hey, like how's it going, man?" and just like shake his hand or whatever. Maybe that puts him in like a positive direction going forward. I can also go to that same guy that's walking down the street. I could just get in the road. I could just say, "Hey, man, like, fuck you." And that could ruin his day. Now he's in like a negative energy going forward. So something that small, I've affected that individual's life in that way for them going forward. So like it can be that small, but now maybe his next conversation is a little different. His the course of his day is set up differently based on my energy in that one moment that was really not that big of a deal in like the grand scheme of like the world, but it changes little things in that person's trajectory, and he's changing other people's trajectory. So maybe like my negative energy caused him to have negative energy. Now he brings that home into someone with negative energy. Whereas if I just say, hey man, what's up? Good afternoon. How's it going? You having a good day at the beach? That puts him in a positive energy. And so the next person he talks to is positive, and he goes home and it's all positive. And this is how we affect each other as people. Like, it creates that ripple effect. It's why when you get around like people that are motivated and happy and like want to see you succeed, there's a positive result that comes from that. And it's like you find more positive change as a result of being around positive stuff, because like attracts like, and things grow exponentially. But if you're in that negative space with other negative people, it brings out more negativity. And it's like kind of like this butterfly effect with MGTOW. You're attaching these ideas to what you think a certain thing is. So like the guy talking about his marriage for 40 years, he's attached in his mind that that's his wife, right? That's like the label that he like put on that. But like in different timelines, that's seen differently, and it could have played out differently. Like she does, if they don't meet at that bar and he's 10 minutes later because of the phone call and the traffic lights. If he's 10 minutes off, does that just permanently stop their future? Like, does he never talk to another girl after that? Does she never talk to another guy after that? You know, you could have been faithful those entire 40 years. And you could say, that's my wife, and my wife would never do that. And Red Pill doesn't know what they're talking about. MGTOW doesn't know what they're talking about. And yes, you could have had a faithful relationship for 40 years where neither of you cheated on each other. But like I said, if you had got to that bar 10 minutes later, does her timeline stop? Does your timeline stop? Does she just never meet another guy? Do you just never meet another girl? Like, yeah, you were monogamous, but like with the butterfly effect, just kind of see it on a brighter level. And you know, everyone's in a different place with like certain concepts they understand. And the butterfly effect, I find when I'm talking about it or just mention it to people, that's one of those that kind of has like a negative reaction to it, because like people find it to be very destabilizing, and they're not comfortable with thinking outside the box like that. They like their predictable future. They like their predictable life events, predictable relationships, whatever paradigm that they're living. They don't want you upsetting the paradigm. So just by you suggesting the butterfly effect, like the guy at the bar, like you're suggesting that like another guy could be with his wife, and he might take that the wrong way. But it's just like, dude, I could have been like your age, like you're looking back at 66 on this 40-year marriage. Like, I met my wife when we were 26, been together that whole time. But it's like, yeah, I'm happy for you. And like, you may, you know, even if both of you were committed and that was a great relationship, I'm just saying, you're acting like, okay, so you met at 26 and you're married for 40 years. What if you're 10 minutes later to that bar and that's just me at the bar or another guy at the bar? Does her future just like stop because you couldn't get there and your boss called you or your friend called you or whatever? I mean, it just, like, people's futures don't stop. Like, things are always fluid, and there's all these ripple effects going on. That's with the butterfly effect. It's like every single thing has an unlimited number of other things that could or couldn't happen. So it's good to be conscious of things. That's why with Red Pill and MGTOW, it's just a way of looking at what's real. A lot of people take that to the extreme, and they say like, oh, well, you had one bad experience with one woman, or like you hate women, or misogynist, or like you're an incel that can't get women, or like that's what they'll say that to certain people that bring up MGTOW points or Red Pill. But it's just like, it's understanding what we're doing as humans. It's understanding human nature. It's understanding female nature, female hypergamy. The fact that there's a difference between being a man and being a woman, and just how that plays out, you know. So it's like, it's I'm not gonna like go through life blind. Like, meet someone for the first time at 26, like I'm just like she's just my girlfriend or my wife, or this is gonna work out, or like no, like what about our long-term future? What about finances? What about the country we live in, the state we live in, the city we live in, ourselves, biologically, spiritually, like, energetically, um, what's going on in her circumstance, my circumstance, um, like jobs, friends. I mean, it just like there's so many just like topics you could go over that actually affect your life. To just be like, oh well, like it's her, like her time's running out, like 25 to 35 before her fertility runs out. Just has to find somebody. So it's like you as a man should be looking for that, or like, but it's like no, like it's like people can like change their mind or monkey branch, or like it's like go to a better option for them or what they think is a better option. So it's like like when, like I said, that guy that just like, I've had this great relationship for 40 years. It's like that's awesome. I'm just I'm seeing it down the line though. It's like it's not, even if, like I said, even if that's committed the whole way, it's not just like it's not like she wouldn't have met someone else, and you're not trying to like attack his frame, but like people that aren't like thinking on that level, they take it that way sometimes. Like you're attacking their worldview or their frame, but it's just like I'm trying to have the best possible life myself, so I'm not just gonna go in naively, meet a girl at 26, and maybe I'm like doing decent financially, or she finds me attractive, and I'm not gonna take that into account. I'm just gonna think it's like this like whatever just it is on the surface. No, I'm gonna like think about it a little bit more than that, and I'm gonna understand the butterfly effect with everything. And once you do, you see future possibilities that could or couldn't happen. It makes you sharper, more on guard with what's gonna happen.